Alrighty, welcome everybody. Welcome to Global Education's Virtual Expo. We've got a great webinar for you tonight. We know it's a bit later than our usual 7:30, but we had to get Anna Munro here as well for you. She's actually based in New Zealand, and she's got an interesting story for her start of this webinar and her morning start there in New Zealand. RMIT is one of our key partners. It is out of Melbourne, and they've got campuses all over the world. We love what they do for their students and the support that they give. And we're very excited to sort of present Anna directly to you as well. As always, please put your questions in the Q&A or in the chat box. I'll provide all the contact details, and we'll, as always, have a discussion towards the end of the presentation. And please, don't be shy. All this presentation is recorded, and we will be resharing it through the YouTube channels and through the different various newsletters that you will be receiving as for signing up for this webinar as well. So on that note, Anna, I'm going to hand it straight over to you. We've got a few sign-ups already onto this audience, which is great to see, and we'll just let people keep signing in as you get into your start.
Great, thanks, George. So welcome everyone. And yeah, I did have an interesting start this morning. There was a little bit of an earthquake over here in New Zealand. So we were wondering if there was going to be a tsunami alert because we're living near the beach here. So I was hoping that I'd be able to definitely come into the webinar this morning, but I'm here. So no tsunami alert, we're okay. But let's hope I don't have to run out quickly during the middle of it. So I'm here in New Zealand, but representing RMIT University in Melbourne. And here you can see behind me, this is my makeshift Melbourne behind me with our big business building. We've got a whole mix of new and older buildings on our campus. It's some really interesting design features when you do make it onto the Melbourne campus. So I'm going to run you through a bit about the university, about our values, our different campuses that we have, the program areas and some of the entrance requirements as well. And then we'll get on to sort of a bit of a more informal part where we have a bit of a discussion. So the university is actually the largest university in Australia. We have over 90,000 students. And you might be thinking, oh gosh, that many people in Melbourne, but no, it's not all in one campus. We have 3 campuses in Melbourne. We have 2 campuses in Vietnam. We also offer our programs from a lot of different universities offshore around the world, like in Singapore and Hong Kong and China. And we do also have a hub in Barcelona where we don't actually have students permanently on the hub, but we connect in with local research institutions and industry partners to provide different global experiences for students and to undertake research work as well. So the background of RMIT is that we were actually founded way back in 1887 as a technical institute. So our foundations are very practical, and that's really important because we still have that as one of our key values, that when you come to RMIT, you're getting a practical hands-on experience. You're getting ready for life and work so that once you actually graduate, it's easy to get a job. So we became a university more recently in 1992, but we still have that foundation that we started with of being practical. We have some fantastic rankings as well. So we're in the top 1% of universities globally. And for those universities that are under 50 years old, we're actually at number 18 in the world. In some of the specific areas, just to call out a few key areas that we're well known for, we are known as a University of Design, Technology and Enterprise. So in the area of art and design, we're number 1 in Asia Pacific, and we're number 11 in the world. In the area of media and communication, we're in the top 50 in the world. And we're also in the top 100 in the world for some of the areas of engineering, geography, education. Also in the built environment, so everything related to architecture, interior design, construction planning, we are also in the top, we're number 25 in the world. So yeah, anything around technology, computer science, very high rankings and well known. As I mentioned before, very practical. So we have a lot of connections with industry all around the world, not just in Melbourne. It does mean that you'll get an opportunity to be taking part in perhaps an internship, or it might be doing some work integrated learning projects as part of some of your courses in your degree. And some of those are with really well-known brands, such as the ones you can see on the screen. And sometimes it is also virtually with these companies in Europe or perhaps in Asia. We have a lot of different ways that we collaborate with these companies. So sometimes it can be a hackathon where you're taking part in like a challenge against other universities as well. We have many of our programs have the opportunity to do a 1-semester internship. Sometimes you could actually decide to do that internship overseas if you wanted. So we have a program called Rmit. And this Rmit program, you can actually apply to go for 1 semester or a year. It's usually students in our business and engineering programs. And they go and work for companies like Airbus, Boeing, Bosch. So really well-regarded companies worldwide. We also lately have been doing a lot of virtual challenges with companies. So our RMIT Europe Hub have sourced a lot of companies in Europe. And I'll just give an example of one that was quite interesting that happened just over a year ago with the company H&M. Well, it's the Cheap Mondays, a subsidiary of H&M, the fashion label. And all of our Bachelor of Fashion Design students got to take part in a virtual challenge for 1 semester, and they had to design a denim range for the client. And then at the end of the semester, the winning students with the best denim range got to go to Sweden, where this company was located, to take on an internship with the company. So we do a lot of, this is just one small example, but we're doing lots of different things like this to make sure that you're really getting practical experience while you're learning. So it's definitely not a traditional theoretical university that you'd be coming to. I'll show you around some of our campuses as well. So we're located in Melbourne, right down in the south of Australia. You can see that black dot on the red map there. And we have 3 key campuses in Melbourne. So our main campus is the city campus, right in the middle of the city. That's the one that I'm sitting right in front of here with the big business building. And it's very near to the river, quite near to the beach, and it houses most of our programs. We also have the Brunswick Campus, which is about 5 kilometers away, and it focuses fully on fashion and fashion entrepreneurship, textile design programs. So very easy to reach the Brunswick Campus on the train or the tram. And then our Bandura Campus is about 17 kilometers away, and that's more focused on some of the engineering areas, health sciences, and education. So you can see the pictures of these campuses here. So here's the Melbourne one. It's a really buzzy campus right in the middle of the city, so it's not separated. As soon as you come out of one of your classes, you're actually in the street with all of the general population. So people going about their normal day, going to work. There's cafes, offices around as well. The view that I've got here is actually looking straight from where there's a shopping mall and a train station. So it's very well connected. And then on the other side of the road, you can't quite see it in the photo, is the big state library as well. And you can see the buildings are really exciting and interesting. So we've kind of got a mix of old buildings that have been redeveloped with new design. Even since this photo has been taken, that a lot of these buildings have taken on new looks as well, because we're constantly putting up new buildings and renovating. So a lot of our students in the areas of architecture actually who graduate are involved in the design of our buildings as well. So here's our city campus. It's the big red blob there at the top. Here we're teaching a lot of business, design, engineering, computer science. What else do we do here? Yeah, pretty much everything we do offer on the campus. And you can see that sort of, it looks like a little bit of a submarine. That blue outline area around the orange area is the free tram zone, which means that you can actually get around the city from RMIT for free on the tram. All the green lines are the tram lines, so it's really convenient. You can get down to the river easily. And then there's also about 5 big train stations dotted around the city as well. So it's very easy to get from those train stations out to most parts of Melbourne. So if you're deciding to live further out of the city where it's cheaper, you can easily get into the city. You'll also notice lots of green areas. So Melbourne's a fantastic place with a real outdoor culture, lots of sport always going on. So you can go to the stadiums that you can see. There's gardens, people go cycling along the river. We have lots of visiting sports events like the Australian Open, Formula One, the Australian Open tennis, sorry, the Formula One. So lots going on in the city. It's a really cultural, arty city. So there's always different festivals and music events going on. We have food markets that are quite regular. So there'll be places where every week there's a food market with lots of different food from around the world. You can actually eat some of the best food in Melbourne because it's so multicultural. You'll find everything you need here. And there's lots of tiny little laneways that you might actually see in this picture as well, where you can kind of get lost and explore these laneways and find lots of little sort of alternative bars and coffee places as well. So it's actually, as part of some of our trips and tours that we do, you can actually take part in tours where they do like coffee tours or tours around the city as well with other international students to get to know it all. I lived in Melbourne for 5 years. I'm actually from Melbourne originally, and I still don't know the city well enough after living there all that time because there's just so much to get to know. You can keep going back and living there and exploring and finding new things as well. So here is another building in the city. So that's our design building. There's students in there doing architecture, interior design, industrial design, perhaps some animation as well. There's a bit of everything in there. And then our Bandura Campus, which is a very different feel. This is the one that's the one that's further away. It is more focused on some of the later years of engineering programs. If you're doing a bachelor, you might be going there in your last 2 years, or some of the master's programs might have some of the courses there. And yeah, as I said, education, health sciences as well. So here we've got a lot of sporting facilities, and we've actually got a residence on the campus as well. And being such a large campus, really open, there's a lot of space for our specific facilities and the infrastructure that we need. So there's like a wind tunnel, there's solar ponds for our environmental programs. There are clinics for our chiropractic and osteo programs as well. So yeah, really beautiful campus out there. And all very modern as well, newly renovated. And then our Brunswick campus, as I said, all focused on fashion. And we're actually ranked in the top 10. We have been for many years in our fashion programs. So if you're thinking about fashion and you want to go to Australia, Rmit is definitely the place you want to choose because we have so many different types of programs. It's not just 1 or 2 programs. We offer really sort of intricate and different levels as well. So we have sort of associate degrees, we have bachelors, we have masters, and then yeah, focusing in on whether you want to do textile design or entrepreneurship or yeah, whatever it is that you need. This is just at the moment where we have our English program, so I won't go so much into this area. And then Vietnam is also an interesting campus to know about because while you might not want to come necessarily to Vietnam right from the start, you could actually do an exchange to Vietnam if you come and do a bachelor, say a Bachelor of Business. You might think, okay, great, I'll then do 1 semester or 2 semesters in Vietnam as part of my studies. And the courses are actually all the same. So it's just a different cultural experience going over there. Some people do it vice versa. They come to Vietnam first and then they transfer over to Melbourne. So there's different options. It's quite flexible. This is our big Ho Chi Minh campus. And then we also have a smaller one in Hanoi as well, but all very modern. And it's kind of like a real sort of oasis right in the middle of Vietnam. So Vietnam's busy, there's motorbikes going everywhere. It's quite crazy and exciting. But you come onto the campus and it's very, very calm and it's a real sort of Australian education experience on the campus. And then, as I said, Europe, we have our hub there as well. So in terms of our programs, I've kind of mentioned quite a few of the areas that we do teach. We really teach things right across the board. We've got pretty much everything you can think of. Some areas like veterinary science or pure medicine, we don't offer that, but we do have most areas of study that you might be interested in. But really those key areas, art, design, technology areas like computer sciences, media communications, business, engineering, and yes, the sciences areas as well are really key to us. I've probably been through most of our key selling points actually, because I was going to say I won't go through them. I think I've talked about most of them already. Just yeah, highlighting the public transport. Melbourne's a fantastic place to to be, because it feels very safe. It's very easy to get around on public transport. There's so much to do. You'll see international students everywhere you go. You'll hear different languages, so you won't feel sort of like you're lost there, because you'll see, okay, I can meet other people from all around the world who are in the same experience as me. So it's a really nice place to go as an international student and feel welcomed. We've got a lot of support services that are set up there for international students to welcome you. And we also do like a welcome at the airport as well. So you'll have someone pick you up, and all of that is to make you feel from the moment you arrive that you're welcome, and that you feel like you belong and know where to go. Just to go over a little bit of the practicalities of, okay, you're interested in RMIT, but how do you know whether you can get into the program you're interested in? How do you navigate the web? So what you can do, it's quite easy on our website, is you just go on, you can type in, you can search through all of our study areas that we have and find the program that suits you. When you get to the webpage, it's going to look like this on the screen, and you just need to make sure you always click on the button for international, so you're getting the requirements for you. And then you'll see an area called admissions. So you can click on that and it will automatically scroll down past all of the overview of the program. You'll see an overview up the top here as well, saying how long the program is, where it's located, the fees annually, and the intakes. So we'd have intakes usually in February and July. It's actually sort of more the beginning of March that we usually start, around the 1st of March and July. Not all programs are offered in both intakes. Our main intake is the February-March intake. So do check to see, if you were thinking of starting in July, that the program is offered in July as well. And then yeah, you can click on the admissions button and scroll down. And oh, we've got another one there as well. And it will take you all the way down to the entry requirements area. So in that area, it's not going to have the exact information for all of the countries in the world. So I can tell you right now that for South Africa and I think for Zimbabwe and a few other areas, there might be people from here today. We might not necessarily have it on our web, but I can just give you a little bit of an indication today. So it will usually have the Australian requirement, and then our admissions team will then go and do the assessment of your results to find the equivalency. So in this case, it said you needed to have a 65% in your year 12 in your high school studies or equivalent. And it actually for South Africa, that equivalent is very easy because it's pretty much exactly the same. So if it was a 65% in Australian standard, it would be a 65% in the National Senior Certificate. So it's not too hard there to see what it would be for South Africa. There's a few extra details here if you're thinking of applying for a diploma, associate degree and bachelor. We need to actually look at your English requirements and your English marks in your National Senior Certificate as well. So for example, if you were thinking of doing a bachelor, we'll make sure that your English mark in your National Senior Certificate is over 65% as well, with a few exclusions for specific programs that have higher English requirements, like in education and nursing, etc. And some of our courses you'll have a prerequisite as well. You'll see here, they'll have a little section saying prerequisites. This one says none, but other ones might say maths. And then we'll look at your maths results as well. And it might need at least a minimum of 60%. So that will depend on every program. If you have any questions, you can ask the Global Education team and they might be able to help, or otherwise they can ask us and we can certainly give you more of an indication on exactly what might be required for your country. In terms of the postgraduate, because that might be a little bit different, by coursework, generally you need to have a bachelor degree that you've successfully completed. And if you're thinking of research, then we do have two different types of research. We have a master degree in research, which is 2 years and it's fully research, or we do also have a PhD, which is 4 years of research. And in order to take one of those two programs, you usually need to have completed a master with at least 25% of a research component in it, like a thesis, or otherwise a bachelor degree, which was at least 4 years with honours, with also 25% research as part of that. So we need to see that you have done at least 25% of a year of research. So usually that's just, it might be just one course that you've done, like, or a thesis. If you are interested in research, I'm happy to have one-on-one consultations with you. The process is a little bit different, so we can have a meeting on the side to chat more about your plans, and I'm happy to talk you through it. I haven't even talked about COVID yet, all the way through to this point. Just so that you're all aware, we are open for study at the moment. So we do have students from all around the world studying online with us. We are not open and face-to-face, but we certainly have a lot of students that are starting online so that they don't have to defer their studies. It's a great way to just get ahead while you can, maybe save some money on accommodation because you don't have to come to Melbourne yet. Also, another good thing to be aware of is that obviously you might be interested in the post-study work visa, which you can apply for after having studied 2 years of a bachelor or a master with us. And if you think, oh, that's not going to work if I'm studying online from South Africa, it will. So what you can do is you can apply for a visa right from the beginning of your master's program, and that will be valid for the 2 years of study. Even if you did 1 semester or 1 year offshore, you'll still be able to apply for that post-study work visa. So that's one great thing the government has made an exception for. Our website has constantly been updated when we hear about new updates from the government. And I also have some really interesting feedback from different students who have studied online and said it's actually been fantastic. They've got really good grades. The system works really well. All of our lectures are recorded, so you can go back and watch them many times, which is actually, for some students, it's more convenient. If they're working a bit, they can actually fit it around their own timetable a little bit more. And they're able to actually make friends as well online, and be able to have sort of a community online, even though they thought it might be hard to, since you weren't in person in the country. So it's not all doom and gloom. You can actually start now and have a good experience. Once you do actually get to Melbourne, we have many different accommodation options. So we've got the one I showed you on our Bandura campus is actually the left-hand picture there. That's a residence on our Bandura campus. And we've got a lot of residences dotted around the city. They're not RMIT ones, but they're all approved by us. So they're fantastic places to stay, really modern. They've got all the cooking facilities and lots of activities often taking place, like film nights or maybe yoga classes, cooking classes, things like that. We have the option of staying in a share house if you want to come and stay in a hostel and then look for a flat to share with other students. Or there's also homestays as well. And then once we get back and things are starting to look a bit more normal again in the world, we'll open up all of our social and fun things. So we've got lots of clubs. Actually, our mates program is still running at the moment. So you can actually get a mate in Australia, even if you start online, and they'll help you to integrate. Well, once it's actually we're in Australia, they'll help you to integrate to the life in Australia. In the meantime, they'll help you to integrate to our online community and meet other international students online. Lots of sports and fitness clubs. We do trips and tours all the time with discounted rates for students to meet people from international students and local students, doing things like ski trips, trips to Phillip Island to see penguins, trips down the Great Ocean Road. Every day there's different trips and tours going on. So plenty of fun to be had with RMIT in Melbourne. And anyway, that's just my details there if you wanted to ever get in touch directly with me. But I'll leave it there today, and I'll pass back to George.
Anna, thank you very much for that. You made me miss Melbourne greatly during this presentation. It's such a vibrant city. I can't talk enough about it to students. When you were in Melbourne, and you know, with RMIT, what's one place that really stood out to you that you would tell somebody who's going to go study there, please go check this out? What's one thing about that campus that you really like?
About the campus or about Melbourne? And
both.
Well,
do both.
Either. I'd say in terms of the campus, like I love this building behind me here. This is our business building. It's not just used for business courses. Actually, a lot of our courses from all the different areas are taught in here, and it's all designed in a sustainable way. And I really love that because you go into it, and they had computers on each level where you could actually click and see the amount of gas and electricity and water that's being used in each part of the building throughout the day. So everything was being monitored, and the way that you can see kind of like there's all these panels on the outside, it's all in a certain way for the wind and for, you know, for the energy. So, and like the way that heating's done in the rooms as well, it turns off or it turns on, or it only turns on for the amount of students in the room. So I really like that RMIT is focusing on sustainability, and this is one of the buildings that really shows that. So that's a really fun part of the campus. In terms of Melbourne, oh gosh, I have so many parts of Melbourne that I love so much. I'm quite an outdoor person. So for me, I love the river, and I love going cycling along the river because there are cycleways all through Melbourne. So it's quite easy just to get on a bicycle. You don't need to have a car when you live in Melbourne. The public transport's great, and you can just have a bicycle. So I would often cycle to work in the morning and come along the river. And then you would see in summer, people would also use barbecues. They have free barbecues alongside the river where you can just take your food along, and you can actually just cook a barbecue whenever you want to there alongside the river on the grass. So yeah, that's something that I enjoy. It's like a cheap and easy, fun thing to do.
Yeah. Yeah, most people, they always think of Melbourne being, you know, one of the most expensive places in Australia. You know, you've always got that high livability, but, you know, in terms of, you know, networking from a student's point of view and sitting there and seeing the opportunity there, I mean, you can go out eating in Melbourne a week and really it's not that expensive if you look for those places, and you'll find the most amazing food, bars. I was blown away by how economical it actually was. With the amount of variety. And that's my biggest selling point to Melbourne is don't think of it as being the most expensive place. Think of it as being a place with so much opportunity for you if you go and hunt for it.
Yeah, definitely. I would say that that was one thing I really missed, because I ended up also going to Spain, to our hub in Barcelona, and living there for 4 years. And I did miss the quantity of like different Asian food that we have in Melbourne. And how cheap it is as well, because yeah, as you say, you don't have to go to it like a top quality restaurant. You can go to just like a little food court and get amazing food at a cheap price. So it's certainly everyone we had a lot of Australians in our Spanish office, and they would all miss the food back from Melbourne.
Yeah. And yeah, just being able to network with that building, you know, the building behind you there. When I first got to Melbourne for the first time and went to the city, that building was the first thing I took notice of. It's right in the middle there, and you've got all these businesses around you. So from a business point of view, from a student, you know, just going for a coffee, being able to meet somebody that potentially could be an employer or, you know, a colleague, and for me, the socialness of the city, you know, being somebody who was new to Australia as well, you know, was actually nerve-wracking in will I fit the culture? Will people open up to me? And I felt Melbourne was very open in that sense. Is that more from the international feel to Melbourne, or is that more the culture throughout the years with Melbourne? Could you just explain a little bit more about the culture there?
Yeah, I mean, Melbourne is very much a student city, because there are we have about 8 or 9 universities in Melbourne. So you'll see that we're so set up for having international students coming from around the world. And I think RMIT is lucky to be the one university that is right in the middle of the city. So we do have that advantage of being able to connect more with industry there. And yeah, as you say, like you could just go out and have a coffee network with companies that you might be working with later. Or you might be able, if you're doing an internship, it's so easy, because if that company is in the city, you might have a class, and then straight afterwards you could just be walking down the road to where you're doing your internship as well. So we do have a huge advantage over the other universities being in that location there, and not feeling isolated, being able to really network and meet other students around the city. And the city of Melbourne, the way that we set up a lot of activities. So it's not just RMIT that set up cultural events and activities to get you integrated, but also the city of Melbourne do as well. So we have so much going on. We've got hubs and welcome centres, so that there's always people here. If you're feeling like you're not connected, there's a way to connect in easily.
And you know, you're mentioning internships and sort of, you know, a lot of international students, especially from Southern Africa, they want to, you know, come and study in Australia and get that work experience, because, you know, 9 out of 10 job interviews are asking for that work experience, you know, right after graduation date, you know, applying for, you know, entry-level jobs. What type of support does RMIT offer I know you briefly mentioned it during the presentation, but what type of support do they offer students looking for work, CV support, things like that, and also the mental side, in helping people when they're feeling, down with anxiety and things like that?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we have a lot of different support services. So I'll mention a few of them. In terms of looking for a job, we have a platform we call Career Hub, and we post a lot of job advertisements on there, also internship opportunities. And that it's only for RMIT. So as a student, once you have an ID, you can log in there and see it all. But then on top of that, we also have, if you've got an internship course within your program, the program coordinators and managers will actually help you a lot to find an internship. So you don't actually just have to go and find it yourself. I was actually just talking recently to the program manager from the Master of Data Science, and he told me that only 5% of students actually find their own internship. The school actually helps with 95% because of the networks that they have with really big companies like KPMG, with ANZ Bank in Australia, with HP. So those other 5% are just students that wanted to find their own because they already had their own connections. And then we also have other departments that can help. Like we have a job shop where if you're thinking you need to brush up your interview skills, or you need to create your CV so it's more Australia friendly, because it's obviously every country in the world has different ways that your CV should be set out. We have workshops and we have people there to help you. You can put an appointment to see people and get some support.
Every time I hear the support level and I look at RMIT's website, I always think I wish I took advantage of that when I was in my first year of college. It's something I can't talk enough to students about. Reach out, there's support there. Don't do it on your own. It takes a team to climb Mount Everest. It's something I do value. On that note, in terms of some of the questions that the students are asking on this presentation, so let's get into them. Kudakwasha here is asking, does RMIT have any connections within the United Nations and other institutions like that champion global leadership and humanitarian work? And do you offer any courses within that field?
That's a good question. Actually, we do have something that's quite interesting. It's slightly related to this. We offer something called micro-credentials, which is, we have a suite of over 100 of these micro-credentials, and it's something that you can do as a student in your own time for free. It's not compulsory, but it's great because it adds to your CV. And they're little like online, what do you say, like credentials that you work through. Some of them only a few hours, some might be a little bit longer. And at the end of doing them, you get a digital badge, which you can then share on LinkedIn with your potential employers. Some of them are really specific in areas like blockchain, and others are more like around leadership or agile ways of working. And one of them is actually that we have is, I can't remember the exact name of it, but we've got one that connects through with the UN as well. And it is all around sustainability and the areas that the UN are working with. So we do have connections with the UN. Some of the courses might have stronger connections with the UN as well, but this is just one micro-credential that came to mind that is free, that's available for all students to do in their own time. And it has been created with the support of the UN as well, with those connections that we have. So
with what Anna's saying, definitely reach out to us. We can get you in touch. Is something to look into as well. And the one thing with United Nations as well, from my own personal experience, within Melbourne as well, they've got a lot of volunteer opportunities for you as well. So definitely, look at the website, look at United Nations Australia. They're fantastic in terms of getting involvement from the community. I was involved here in Perth. My partner as well has done volunteer work for United Nations, and they really do a lot in Australia. So definitely do look at that online. Anna, I've got a question here for you. It's from an anonymous person out of Zimbabwe. It's based on English proficiency requirements. I'm going to read it out here. Isn't it a prerequisite to satisfy this requirement during visa application through IELTS/TOEFL, etc., or do we have a waiver?
Okay, so RMIT does not require you to have English proof for our admission processes. If you're from Zimbabwe, South Africa, because of you'd be studying in English. So from our end, it's not. It does depend on what happens when you come to apply for the visa. I don't know if George will have more, yeah, if you can see at your end, but it will depend more on the visa side. From our end, we're okay. We do not require it RMIT if you've studied fully in English.
Yeah, for all the visa applications, we do have a dedicated team that look after that as well. So Anonymous, please do reach out to us and we'll get you in touch for that finer details. It has a lot depending on the situation, when you're applying, when you're going to go through. A lot of the IELTS testing centers are actually closed as well. But we are authorized to give that information out and a booking center for that as well. So we can help get you the right information straight away. So please do reach out to me. I'll pop in my email directly to you on the chat box. Thanks. And I've got another question for you here. They're flying in at the moment. I would like to inquire about, this is Sibylle Nkosi. I would like to inquire about the transfer student requirements for a third-year biomedical science student.
Okay. Yeah. So if you have actually already studied a few years in a degree, and you wanted to transfer over to RMIT, that's possible. When you do your application, or when Global Education help you with your application, they'll ask for your syllabus of the courses that you've done already, the ones that look similar to the courses at RMIT, and they'll upload those in the application to RMIT. And then our admissions team will have a look and they'll see if they are similar enough to our courses to be able to give you credit recognition for them so that you don't have to complete everything all over again. And then your offer letter will say how many courses you get credit recognition for.
I've got another question here from Zandile. This is about the IB programs, and do you accept IB programs, and is there anything they should be aware of?
Yeah, we do. We definitely accept IB as an entry requirement. So if you actually are looking at a specific program, when I showed you what the page looks like for like the Bachelor of Business admissions, when you click on the admissions and it scrolls down to that area, you can actually then filter by saying that you've studied IB, and it will tell you the exact amount points that you need. So I think I saw recently for one, it was around 25 was required to be able to get into one of the bachelor programs. So it's there on the web. So for IB, it's actually great because I know that for South Africa, we don't have it there on the web, but if it is IB, it is, you can see the exact requirement you need on our website for all the programs.
Zandila, I'm going to add to what Anna is saying there as well. And please do reach out to Global. We'll get you in touch with RMIT and get you dedicated answers on that. It's one of those things we offer within our service is counseling students on what they need to do to be able to get an entry, whether you're in your year 11 or year 12. Be proactive and do reach out. It's a great service that the team offers throughout Zimbabwe and South Africa. And then I've got another question from Zandile. I did ask her which President's Club she was referring to. She's asking, does RMIT recognize the President's Award?
Oh, I'm not so sure about that one. Sorry, I would need more information. I have to follow up on that.
Zandile, let us know if you're talking in terms of entry requirements or additional work course from a postgrad point of view. Please do let me know and reach out to me through my email, and I'll message you in the chat box as well. So I think we've gone through the first wave of questions, and then I've got some from the team here for you. In terms of if you're looking to do postgrad work at RMIT, what happens with if you wanted to change your course, or if you felt that the course wasn't the right option, and you've spent obviously doing an undergrad and then you're looking at your postgrad, if you wanted to change course and having the deal with the visas and changing it again, do you recommend students not to do that and to rather finish or spend the time before talking to yourself first before actually signing up to RMIT? Could you just go a little bit into the difficulties of changing course at postgrad?
Do you mean that the student's done one bachelor, but then they're changing to a different study area in postgrad, or already having started a postgrad and
already starting postgrad?
Or already having started in South Africa or Zimbabwe and then coming to Melbourne to do something different? Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So in that case, yeah, no, definitely don't keep going with something that you're not feeling is right, because you're just sort of wasting, your energy, and you need to be doing something you're passionate about. So I would say have a talk to us, because even though you've studied a different study area, it doesn't necessarily mean that you can't go into a new study area, and you don't have to go back to the beginning and do a bachelor's necessarily. We've got pathway options. So some of our master's programs don't actually require a specific study area to get into them. Like we actually even have, say, in the Master of Fashion Entrepreneurship, we have students coming from all different areas, and you don't need to even have a fashion design background. So we've got students that might have done, business, and then they go into or they might have done engineering or something, they go into fashion entrepreneurship. So there are opportunities for a lot of master's programs where you can have suddenly changed your career option and gone off in a different way. And if not, if there is a really specific master's you wanted to go into, we can look at the pathway options, so that perhaps you don't have to go back and do a whole bachelor again. There might be another way to come through to cut down the number of years, so that you can go off in a new direction. So you definitely have a talk to us.
In terms of applications to RMIT, do you have specific deadlines before the February and July intakes? Is there a set period where you would like that application to go in, and how early do you recommend?
We don't actually have deadlines, but I'd say definitely plan ahead. Don't leave it till the last minute, because while we try to get our offers out quite quickly, within about 10 days, if you want to have enough time for the visa process and things like that. So I'd say it's good to start thinking, maybe 6 months ahead, 4 months ahead. Obviously, if you don't have that much time and you've suddenly thought you want to apply, don't think, oh, I can't do it. You can still do it, even if it's sort of towards the last minute. We can try and push it through. But no, please try if you can, and think about it earlier, and then it will be a lot less stressful for you, because you'll have the time to put into, if it's a design program, doing the portfolio, getting it all assessed without having to rush. So yeah, that's just a bit of advice.
Great. If anybody's got any more questions, please put them through in the chat box. There we go. Kuda's got another one for us. Thank you, Kuda Kwashe. Oh, you beat me to this question, the infamous COVID-19 question. Relating to COVID-19 border closure in Australia, is there a hint or a tentative date period when we expect to travel into Australia?
The question I get from everyone. It's a very tough one to answer, actually. I mean, I've honestly been telling students that if they're thinking of coming in 2021, that they really need to sort of start planning for it probably being online this year for semester 2 as well. I mean, we haven't put out anything official yet, but it's looking quite likely. Because I think once we do open the borders, it won't just suddenly be open for all. It will be maybe prioritized for some areas, or for the students that have already started studying at RMIT and had returned. Or it might be related to the vaccination schemes, or perhaps there might be a quarantine that's required. So it's going to be perhaps a more slower process. So I would say, if you're thinking of studying this year, do have that in your mind, that if you're keen to start online, that's probably the way it's going to be for 2021, I would say, at this stage, until we hear further if something happens.
Yeah, definitely. And I think adding to your point that you said earlier in your presentation, it's an opportunity to cost save. You can start online, you're not having to pay living expenses, the higher cost of living in Melbourne with the foreign currency exchanges as well. And you still get that graduate skill. It still counts your graduate skill visa after your study visa finishes. It's a huge opportunity with the pandemic that students should take advantage of, especially for budgeting.
Yeah, the student that I talked to recently, who studied online all the way from Argentina with the time zone difference, said that he managed it. It was just keeping motivated, keeping dedicated to doing things. And that, it could have been all this wasted time that he was really not doing anything. So he was much happier to just get started.
Did he ask you, and I know I had students in the previous webinar ask this, what type of support did RMIT give to students that were studying online? Was there any incentive? Was there like a counselor that you could talk to for those types of online students?
Yeah, there's different ways that they can get the support. So, I mean, we've got the MATES program, as I said, at the more sort of cultural, social level to have that social integration. So that's something you sign up for if you're interested. In terms of the academic support, it's definitely through the program coordinators and the program managers that they're there to help out. If you ever need anything, they're there over either the Canvas platform that we use through the chat there, or they can be reached through email as well. And the student was saying that he got answers very quickly, and probably even quicker than he would have if he was studying face to face, because the professors are all there online. They're very dedicated to it. They're not sort of going to, you know, about a whole lot of other things on the campus face to face. So they were very, very responsive, he said. And then we also have, you know, our support services that we usually offer through the university. So we haven't stopped all of our normal support services. If you need any help, you know, financially or study support that's separate, you know, that might be around writing essays or anything like that. So we have all those support services still running online for you as well.
Great, thanks, Anna. That was great. I'm just going through, making sure I haven't missed any questions here. I've gone through all of my questions and some of the students that had asked me to ask you directly. So thank you very much, and I really appreciate your time. Oh wait, got another question. Here we go. From Kurkwasha again, in my case, I am a PhD student, got a fully funded research scholarship last year in May. It is said that my studies can only take place after I've moved to Australia. Ooh.
Okay, was there a question? No.
I don't think there's a question there.
Okay. Well, I would just say definitely check on that one. It probably does depend on the supervisor. If you want to talk to me, you can get in touch with me directly, and we can look into your situation to find out, because there might be some research projects that could only be done in person, and that might be why the supervisor has let you know, because there definitely are research PhD students that have started online. It might be to do with the scholarship as well, because I know that sometimes the scholarship can only be paid into an Australian bank account. Again, get in touch with me directly, because we might be able to look into another option. I have had a few students on scholarship start offshore as well, with some little workarounds. So please, yeah, do get in touch with me.
Great. I'm really happy with this one, and I think you've answered some really insights into RMIT and to the process as well. I'd like to thank everybody for signing up and joining us tonight. Anna, any last thoughts, any words you'd like to leave everybody, and hopefully they choose RMIT?
I would just say definitely go and do something in a different country, because I mean, my life has been very, very multicultural. I went off on my first student exchange when I was at university, then I did a second one, then ended up going to live in a different country to work, and then I went over to Spain to work as well, and to Peru. And so I've had a very international sort of life, and I have to say that it all started back in university, having studied overseas, opening those doors to a new, you know, to so many different opportunities in the world. So it is one of the best things you can do, is to go and do studies overseas in a different country. I really recommend it. And you can't get much better than Melbourne as well. I
highly recommend it. And I'll challenge everybody, if you do end up going to Melbourne, when my second trip to Melbourne, every day was a different culture of food, didn't have the same food. It was under $50 as well. It was between two people, so it was really economical on that front. I challenge anybody, please go and try that. Pick a different restaurant every single day. It's Melbourne. It is Melbourne for a reason. And if you're a Marvel fan, what better place than the Marvel Stadium as well? You know, we didn't even mention Marvel Stadium. Great, everybody. Thank you very much. And Anna, thank you for your time, and really do appreciate it.
Thanks everyone for coming along.
All right, everybody, as always, presentation will be available online. YouTube videos are being released this weekend, so please do keep an eye out for those. My email address is george@global-education.co.za. I'll pop them in the chat box, and I'll also be sharing Anna's contact details in the follow-up newsletter that you will receive after this webinar as well. So on that note, good night and keep safe, everybody.
Good night.